Welcome back. So, for the New York Islanders, the team I saved for last in the Metro, things are kind of largely the same as last year. And Lou Lamoriello saying there's no rush, there's no concern, no panic. Everything's fine. It's all good. He's even saying the offseason is fine. It's fine. There were rumors they were attached to Kadri. There were rumors they were attached to Goudreau. There have been rumors throughout the summer about Miller, but JT Miller's been I'm surprised that we haven't seen baseball rumors about Miller because it's getting so ridiculous. That being said, the New York Islanders didn't end up getting the names they were attached to. Now, I agree with fans that I've seen in the comments saying, you know what? Those big long term contracts can end up being an albatross. Might be better for the Islanders if they didn't pick one of those up. It's probably true. And so for the New York Islanders, they're in that space where they're a good team. They did not make the playoffs last year, but a lot of that had to do with the fact that the first 13 games of the season they were on the road. Then they went home. They had a rough homestand, and they had a lot of guys out of the lineup, and it was an overall disaster. So the fact that they ended up above NHL 500, it to me is kind of a minor miracle. And they actually had a good run going, and then April just it's 16 games in April, and it wore them out. Plus, at that point, they were so far out of the playoffs that I think they just kind of dialed out that way too, which is understandable. So when we look at the last 5 years, 2017, 2018, the final season for Tavares in New York, 35, 37, and 10, eighth in goals for, 31st in goals against. So something had to change. Lou Lamoriello comes in, 2018, 2019, Tavares is out, Trotz is behind the bench. They go 48, 27, and 7. They were 21st in goals for, first in goals against. And that was talked about a lot, being a team that went from the worst goals against in the league to the best, and being, I'm pretty sure they're still the only team that's ever done that in a league that's this darn big. And yeah, 31 teams, and to go from 31st to first is remarkable. 2019-2020, they finished 35, 23, and 10. They were 23rd in goals for. They were 6th in goals against that season. 2020, 2021, they were 32, 17, and 7, 20th in goals for, 2nd in goals against. And of course, in both 2020 and 2021, I thought they were the toughest out Tampa Bay had. I thought they gave them their best challenge. This past season, they finished 37, 35, and 10. So again, 84 points isn't bad. 24th in goals for and 10th in goals against. This is a team that needs to score more, but the low scoring is kind of by design. The way that Islander games have been going, they play like they're renting the rink by the hour. They go very quickly. And for me, I mean, I watch, 9, 10, 12 games in a night, and the Islanders game is usually finished 15 minutes before all the other games that start at the same time as theirs does. Sometimes it's even more than that. So for the New York Islanders, they do play this up-tempo, fast game, not a lot of whistles, and I think that leads to a lower goals against and a lower goals for. But again, we'll see if that changes. Now with Coach Lane Lambert coming in, does that style change or does it stay the same? And of course, Lambert was the assistant coach last year, so it may stay the same, but we'll see. Their best month this past season was March, 10, 6, and 1. Their worst month was November. They were 2, 8, 0. And remember, they were on the road a lot to start the season. And they did their best to make that work, and then they came home, and it was a disaster. Exits, Zdeno Chara, unless they sign him last minute. Andy Green appears to be an exit. New faces. Now, I do this, of course, knowing that Carolina gets a new face in their lineup while I'm doing the preview. So if the Islanders get a new face in their lineup, great. But when I see that, it reminds me that I don't need to redo previews for the season when a player gets added or a player gets subtracted. Whereas in previous seasons, it may completely change the depth chart. No depth charts. So new faces, Alexander Romanov, who had a down year in Montreal, but I think he's an excellent young defenseman. He can do a little bit of everything, and in New York, he may reach that ceiling that maybe he wasn't going to reach in Montreal. And then there are a couple of rookies who could push their way into the lineup. You've got Arttu Ratu, who had a very good campaign for Finland at the World Juniors, and then William Dufour. Dufour was pretty good for the Team Canada group that won gold. One thing with Dufour, to me, and this may just be a World Junior thing that I saw, he looks like he's going to be a very good checking forward. I don't know how much offense we're going to see from Dufour, but he definitely, at the very least, looks like he has a solid defensive game, good on ice awareness. May get himself some fourth line minutes to start things out. We'll see what happens. The tandem in net, Ilya Sorokin, Semyon Varlamov. No surprise there. Very effective. Sorokin eclipsing Varlamov at this point and expected to be the starter for good reason. One of the more underrated goaltenders in the NHL, and advanced stats tell you he's excellent. The eyeball test tells me he's excellent as well. Now, down the middle, this is where things are interesting with the Islanders. They're very good down the middle. They've got Brock Nelson, they've got Matthew Barzal, they've got Jean-Gabriel Pageau, and Casey Cizikas. And if those are, and again, this is from Cap Friendly, if that's the four that they're going to roll, that's a very good 1 through 4 down the middle. This is a team that should not be 24th in goals for. This is a team that should be in the top half in goals for. And if they're in the top half in both goals for and goals against, so if they don't have their goals against blow up on them, they absolutely should be back in the playoffs. And yet, the vote is not of them getting back into the playoffs. The vote is exactly the same across both channels. I did a double take when I saw this. So, first or second, 6% of the votes say that the New York Islanders will be first or second. Third or fourth, 31% of the votes say third or fourth. Fifth or sixth, 50%, half of you voted that they would be fifth or sixth. And seventh or eighth, 13% see them seventh or eighth. So, we've got 37% see them in the top 4 and 63% that do not see them in the top 4. Now, in terms of voting, we had over 20,000 votes on the Hockey Guy channel and over 1,300 votes on the Entertainment Guy channel. And again, the numbers are exactly the same. Love it. The Cup odds, plus 4,500. So they're seen as not a favorite. They're not seen as a huge long shot either in the odds category. There are teams I've seen with plus 10,000, plus 100,000. So definitely they got better odds there. Their cap space, they have some. Unlike other teams have been talking about, they actually have cap space. $2,360,037 according to Cap Friendly. So that is one thing that if you're listening to Lou Lamoriello talk and you're thinking he may very well be making a good point, he has basically said he expects things to get done between now and the start of the season. It is possible the Islanders aren't done. Possible. They'll probably announce it just as the team takes to the ice for their season opener. We'll get like, oh, by the way, Phil Kessel's in the lineup. We signed him back in July. I didn't tell anybody. So we'll see what happens. Top 4 defense, Adam Pelech, Ryan Pulock. Pelech and Pulock, one of the best defensive defense pairings in the National Hockey League. Alexander Romanov and Noah Dobson. If these two have chemistry, this is a very good young pairing. In fact, for a team that is aged and older in general, the blue line's not bad. Not only that, down the middle, they're not that old either. So while the Islanders have some age on this team, and that's not really changed that much, although Andy Green and Zdeno Chara are gone, this is a team that does have its share of good young players as well. Breakthrough candidates, why change? It feels like I was talking about these guys last summer too. Oliver Wahlstrom is better than 13 goals. He absolutely should be scoring at least twice that. Very good goal scorer. Love the player. Maybe it's one of the reasons that Lou makes the change. Maybe he wants to get Wahlstrom going. And Kiefer Bellows. Kiefer Bellows only had 6 goals this past season, but the goal scoring is there, I think, with him. And so we'll see what happens this coming season. Coach, of course, Lane Lambert. GM, as mentioned, Lou Lamoriello. Their leader in goals this past season was Brock Nelson with 37. Anders Lee was second with 28. Your assist leader is Matthew Barzal with 44. And Noah Dobson at 38. Noah Dobson, I thought about putting as a breakthrough candidate, but he broke through last season. Played very, very well. And I think once you've reached 38 assists and about 50 points as a defenseman, you've arrived. So their special teams was actually pretty good this past season. 22.1% on the power play, 84.2% on the penalty kill. Those numbers are solid. Expiring contracts, there are a few. The New York Islanders definitely have a few expiring contracts. Richard Panik, yes, Panik, and I hope he gets to play some games with the Islanders because I like to have new pictures of Richard Panik to use for panic indexes. All of the thumbnails are always Richard Panik. Zach Parise, who has come back for another year. We'll see how he does. Scott Mayfield is an interesting one in that he's not projected to be in the top 4 defense. Could absolutely end up in that top 4 instead of Romanov, but hey, we'll see what happens. and Semyon Varlamov in net. This may be his final season as an Islander. They may look for a replacement next season. I think a lot of it's going to depend on how well Sorokin plays. And, do they need that 1-2 punch? Is Lane Lambert going to play them the way that Trotz did, where it was one goaltender gets one, and then the next you go, and they just went back and forth? Maybe Lane Lambert is going to be more likely to just play Sorokin for 55 games. Maybe Varlamov plays less. Maybe he plays the same style as Trotz. You just alternate goaltenders. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, I think the Islanders are an interesting case. In the event this team gets a lot better, they will be an argument in favor of not making big changes in the offseason and having faith in your roster. If everything falls apart, then the opposite is true. It will look like, hey, they should have made those big moves. They didn't make those big deals. And then Lou Lamoriello, we'll see what happens with him if this team does struggle again with him having already changed the coach. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.